Hello, hello. My name is Brandon Wheeler. If you wonder why I have a pen in my mouth, it's basically because I had a heat stroke back in July uh, here on base, and I can't talk because of it. So I can't talk. I'm going to see a specialist soon. Hopefully that helps and everything. Uh, I watched a movie this past weekend called The Outpost about the Battle of Kamdesh in Afghanistan in 2009. I was, I am in the Army currently, so these military glasses and this shirt I got from Giving Blood once. But no, I've not been in any combat things or anything like that. I've only been to Korea and here in Fort Hood, beside Leonard Wood and Jackson. But the movie's about the battle that happened in Afghanistan, where the outpost was in a valley of a lot of mountains. Uh, you can watch the movie. I was able to see it on Amazon. Stars Clint Eastwood, has Orlando Bloom in it, Mel Gibson, several others. Two men in that battle got Medal of Honors out of it. So it was interesting. They wore the Indian patch, and it's like, hey, I recognize that because that's what I had in Korea. Uh, Military wise and movie wise, I really enjoyed it. Yes, because it's a military movie, there's a lot of cursing, but it when you watch it, you're just like, yeah, that's how a lot of military guys are talking. I mean, just around me and everything. That's how, you sometimes hear that and everything. Veterans who actually have seen this movie, who are actually part of the battle and everything, they say, yeah, it's pretty accurate with everything. And they even have a couple guys who are actually a part of the battle, not only be technical advisors. There's one guy who played himself in the movie, and another guy who played a different part in the movie. But yeah, they got some things wrong with the commanders. Like they had like you see the commanders, and it made it all happen like it happened like that year, like right before they're going to be pulling out and everything. But uh, the things with the commanders, because I read about the battle, and it's like those guys actually passed away uh, years, or a couple of years prior before, like they were showing in the movie before even the battle began. But everything else they said, military wise, was pretty accurate with everything. I could tell movie wise, some of the effects were like, okay, the effects, the explosions specifically, and some of the gunfire is like, I could tell it's movie effects. But does that take away from the story and what happened and how the movie was? No. When the battle actually starts and you see everything goes on, it's really good. I can see why it's very highly rated, and it's you really see the what's the word? Well, well, in some ways, to appreciate, I think you do have to be kind of a military guy. Like, even though yeah, are not combat, and there's a lot of guys who are not combat who never see combat, but just kind of the camaraderie atmosphere that the military guys have with each other that they portrayed uh, pretty well. Um, I don't curse or talk like that at all, but you see it though. You see how guys are and everything embracing the suck, S-U-C-K. And I say S-U-C-K. I don't curse, but embracing the suck, as this saying in the military goes. Seeing how everything is. Uh, I noticed something how the Afghan chieftains and everything, how they kept bringing up the Russians all the time, or the Soviets, because they have a long memory of what the Soviets did. And the American commanders specifically said, we're not the Soviets, we're not the Russians, we're not them, we're not them, we're not them. And it's just like, wow, they really have a long memory about the Soviets invasion of Afghanistan way back in the day. They really don't like the Soviets, my goodness. So it's just interesting how that was. If you don't know what the Battle of Kamdesh was, it was basically what 50, basically almost what 100 Americans or 50 Americans. I see different things. They're like 50 to up to 100 against 300 or more Taliban insurgents. Although there was two guys from Latvia, two Latvia soldiers there, who fought alongside with the Americans. It was like, oh, that's cool. I didn't know anything about Latvia or anything, so that's cool. So, but they fought alongside the Americans, and because there were supposed to be Afghan guys, I guess they were trained. They were supposed to help. I don't know if they did. I reading reports, I kind of differs. In the movie, they don't. They kind of just flee or run off to a place where they're not fighting. But you just see, where everything's going to crap. And I saw some comparisons online to Black Hawk Down, which I'll make a review for because I watched that in Korea. Never saw it previously until Korea, and I have thoughts about that movie. And I could see, it's like, okay, I could see where they get some comparisons of when everything goes wrong, but I don't think that was exactly this place. This was really again, logistics, but you see an area and it's just like, this is a bad spot to be in. It's actually interesting because my lieutenant actually was talking about, this kind of logistic thing the other day when we were in some sort of class thing. It was a couple months ago, back in what, June? Had to be June, I think. But talking about the hill and valley type thing, and that's what I was thinking of for that. Because in the beginning, when you see the guys come in, they come in and they come in at night, and then in the morning when they wake up and they get to go outside and actually look out, everything they see they're in a valley surrounded by mountains. So it's basically, anyone on top of the mountains, they're shooting down at you, and you can only shoot up, but it's harder to shoot up because of bullet trajectory and everything and cover for them, whereas they can hit you from all angles. I mean, like one of the guys was saying, shouldn't we be at the top instead? And it's like, yeah, well, this is the army. It don't make sense. Being in Korea, you see some mountain areas, not steep like that surrounding you, like how it was, but I can see the mountains and everything. Like, okay, that's interesting. But ours weren't nearly like steep all the way up, and you're just literally smack dab in the middle. That's like, yeah, that's a bad idea. Because normally, yeah, you want on top, not directly in a valley like that. Not, it's weird, but I mean, that's just what happened, and then you see what had to happen. Eventually, all the concerns that were brought up to each of the commanders and each of the soldiers started talking about and trying to addressing, and how how they fought back, how they tried to fight back, especially when the Taliban was in the wire and everything. So if you want to see some close combat type thing, that's what happened. Then you could read the account, because when you have historical movies, you can read the account, and you read the account, and it's like, oh, okay, that's very interesting. And then at the very end of the movie, not only did they give tribute to the soldiers who fallen in the battle, but they actually had interviews with some of the people who were involved with it, and you see them at the end and everything. And they ended on a photo, I guess, of the whole group when they were there back in the day. And it's like, oh yeah, that photo is appropriate to end on. It was. I liked it a lot. But overall, it actually is a really good war movie. Yes, a lot of cursing, sexual cursing sometimes as well, and stuff. But for a military movie, it was. You see it, and another thing for military wise, I'm sorry, I want to talk a lot about it because there's like a lot, taking military wise. You see discipline being a thing from like sergeants to the younger enlisted or the officers. You see how things, rank and file and stuff about trying to get a guy to go to parade dress, and how like in the Jeep, how the one sergeant was trying to get the other guy to stay awake, calm down, and maintain that type of voice and everything. I know he's kind of talking quietly on purpose. He's played by a lieutenant, but he's an actual lieutenant, but he's playing the sergeant and everything. But he was actually there in real life or so. But him just trying to kind of merely talk and everything like that, and everything goes on. But it's on purpose because you see what the effect it has and everything. I was like, oh, that's interesting. So the whole, just thinking about it, it is a really good. It's a good movie. It is, and I really like it. If you want military accuracy and really stuff like that, I recommend The Outpost quite a bit. And Scott Eastwood. Scott Eastwood plays, the main sergeant, the one who got the Medal of Honor film. He's Clint Eastwood's son. Clint Eastwood, from old, Good, Bad, and the Ugly, and all those other films, Dirty Harry, and you can tell, you can tell he looks like a younger Clint Eastwood, almost, a little different, but he does look a lot like his father. And at a certain point, when he's talking to the lieutenant, towards the end, when he's in the room, he starts talking to him, and just the way his voice is inflecting, the way he's talking, I just like that sounds totally like Clint Eastwood. It's like he's sounding a lot like his dad there, and it's just funny to me to watch. So it's just like that's funny. It's sorry, I can't help but thinking like that's Clint Eastwood's son. That's interesting. But they got other sons and famous people in there too. So I was like, oh, okay. So again, you want to watch a good movie? It's a good waste 2 hours, but yeah, again, it's a war flick. Not really so much bloody. Sorry, I drew a lot because of this, but it's not really bloody per se. There's a little bit of blood. Don't mind that. There is blood, but it's not really too gory in a big sense. See the medical stuff and everything, but and the most thing was the guy who's, well, I don't want to get spoilers, but it's not too gory, surprisingly. I thought it'd be more gory, but it's not really that bad. It's just the cursing that really gives it, you can say it's R rating. And you can say the intensity of what's going on. So I don't want to say you can kind of feel it has a lower budget in some ways with the effects and everything, but sometimes lower budget is good and it works. You don't need $80 billion in order to make a huge, an effective movie. And this movie is that. It's effective, showing the story and for the battle of what happened. And the fact you had technical advisors praising how the layout was, how accurate it was, and everything else, that's, a ring of endorsement that you can get for a military film. So, if you watch The Outpost, how'd you like it? What do you think about it? And let me know in the comments and everything what else to see next. And if you're looking for my Black Hawk Down review sometime in the future. And I'll be doing some other military movies soon too. All right, well, see you in the next one. Goodbye.